Hi guys, welcome to Code Bashers. In this video, I will be discussing advanced coding questions which are asked in TCET Data Hiring. Guys, this is part 4 of this series. Part 1 to 3 are already uploaded on my channel. So guys, make sure that after watching this video, you watch those videos as well. Guys, if you're new to this channel, make sure that you subscribe it as well as join my Telegram group also. I post regular updates on different companies which are hiring as well as the questions which are getting asked in them. I have two Telegram channels. I will give both the links in the description box. Make sure that you join them. Okay, so guys, now let's start this video, and before starting a video, please hit the like button as well as subscribe button for this channel. Okay, so guys, in this video, first I will be discussing the question with you, then I will be discussing the approach that how to solve this question, and then I will be dry running this particular approach on a certain example so that the things can become clear to you. And in the later part of this video, I will be writing the code for the same. Guys, for this video, I highly recommend you to watch this video till the end, because in the last section of the video, I will be discussing the base case that you have to write in your code, and that if you won't write that base case in your code, then 70 to 80% of test cases will only pass and rest of the 10 to 20% will not pass. So if you want all marks for this question, then you must watch this video to the end and must include that base case in your code so that all the test cases can be passed. Okay, so first let's discuss the question. Okay, so we have to write a program to find smallest integer value of b for a given value of a. If we multiply the digits of b, we should get exact value of a. Okay, so in this question we are giving a value of a. Now we have to find a value of b which is least value of b that is possible. When we multiply the digits of b, we get exact value of a. Now result b must contain more than one digit. Okay, so the number that we find for the value of a, that must contain two digits. Let's just see the example for more clarity. Now the input is given to us as 10. Now 10 here represents a value. Now we have to find the b value. When we multiply least value of b, when we multiply the digits of that b value, we get value of a. So here you can see value of a is given us to be 10, and the least value of b that we can find is 25. And let's see, when we multiply 2 and 5, then we get value of a, that is 10. So I hope this example is clear to you. Now let's see the next example. The value of a that will be given to us as input is 100. Now we have to find the least value of b. When we multiply the digits of b, we get exact value of a. So for this a, we get 455 as b. This is the least value when we multiply each digit, we will get 100. So 4 into 5 into 5 will give us 100. So I hope the question is clear to you. Now let's see the approach of this question. Guys, the approach of this question is little long, but first I will be reading the approach and then I will be dry running this approach on a certain test case. So after reading the approach you do not have any idea, then it doesn't matter. Please watch dry run section also for this video. That will make things more clear. Okay, so approach. So first point is, see, b is formed by digits which can completely divide a. See, we have this b, and if we consider every digit of b, we can see that here it is 4. We know that 100 can be completely divided by 4. Next digit is 5. Again 100 can be completely divided by 5 also. Next is 5. Again 100 can be completely divided by 5. So b is formed by those digits which can completely divide a. So I hope this thing is clear to you. Again in this example also, we have 2 and 5. These are digits of b, and these digits can completely divide a. So by this understanding, we understood that b is formed by those digits which can completely divide a, and none other digits are present for this particular approach. Now digits are from 0 to 9. We all know that digits are from 0 to 9, 0, 1, 2, 3 till 9. But in this case, we cannot take 0 and 1 for forming the number in b. Why we can't take 0 and 1? I have just told you that digits in b should completely divide the a. Now we cannot divide 100 by 0, so by this method our 0 is neglected. Now why not 1? See, we cannot divide 100 by 1 because dividing 100 by 1 doesn't make any sense. We cannot divide 100 things in 1. So therefore we will not take 1 by this logic. I hope these 2 points are clear to you. Now what are the digits which are left with us? That will be from 2 to 9. Okay, now we will run a loop from I is equivalent to 9 to I is equivalent to 2. Later I will tell you why we are running opposite loop. Why not 2 to 9? Why we are running 9 to 2? Okay, now for every I, we will divide a by it until a can't be further divided by I. So let's suppose our a value is 10. Let's suppose it is 10. Now our I value is 9. So 9 cannot divide 10. Similarly 8 cannot divide 10. but 5 can divide 10. So we will divide a, that is 10 by 5, until that particular a cannot be further divided by 5 only. So once we divide 10 by 5, then the value will be 2. Now we cannot divide 2 by 5 again. I hope this thing is clear to you. This is the approach. If you are not getting anything, don't panic. I will dry run the entire approach with an example. Now, after every successful division, we will push value of I into stack. So once we are running the loop, let's suppose 5 has divided 10. So 5 has successfully divided 10, that is remainder is 0. So we will push 5, that is the value of I, into the stack. Okay. If after end of loop our a is equivalent to 1, see, we are always dividing a by certain number. If after the end of the loop our a is equivalent to 1, then we will form a number from digits which are present in the stack. I have told you that whenever a successful division occurs, we will push our I value into the stack, and after the end of the loop, if our a value is 1, then we will form a number from digits which are already present in the stack. In the stack, their I values will be present, and from that stack values we can form a number, and that number will be b. Okay. And if after the end of the loop our a is not equivalent to 1, then we will return -1 from the function, because then it will be clear that if we had a certain value of a, we cannot form b. For that particular value of a, b value is not satisfied. So let's suppose for example 13. So we cannot have any b value whose digits will multiply into 13. So for the case of 13, or you can say for this case of prime number, we have to return -1 from the function. I hope the approach is clear to you, but if it is not clear, let me just dry run on this approach on the certain example. Okay, so we know that a will be given to us as an input. Now I have read the entire approach, and I have told you that stack will be used. First we will be using a for loop, and inside that for loop our stack will be used. So I have built this stack which is initially empty. Now we will be dry running on this a value. So our a value is 100. Now what we will do, we will, according to the approach, first we will loop through from I is equivalent to 9 to I is equivalent to 1. So now what we'll do, so let's suppose our I is equivalent to 9 and a is equivalent to 100. So is 100 divisible by 9? So no, it is not the case. So we will move to next iteration. Now we have come to 8. Is 100 divisible by 8? No, 100 is not divisible by 8. So this thing is also not taken into account. 7. Is 100 divisible by 7? No, it is not divisible by 7. 6. Is it divisible by 6? No, it is not divisible by 6. 5. Now 100 is divisible by 5. 5 can completely divide 100. That is, remainder will come out to be 0. So yes, this is divisible. Now what we'll do, inside this stack, on successful division, we will include this I value, that will be 5. So now our stack is not empty. Now one thing is here, see, for every I, we will divide a by it until a can't be further divided by it. Now we have completely divided a by 5. Now what will be the current value of a? 100 divided by 5 is 20. Now we will keep the value of I same. Now is 20 divisible by 5? Can 5 completely divide 20? Yes, it can divide. So now again we will, on successful completion, we will again push the value of I into the stack, that will be 5 again. Now 20 divided by 5 is 4. Now 4, here it is. Now can 5 divide 4? Can 4 be divided by 5? No, it cannot be divided by 5, because remainder will not be 0. Now value of 5's role is over. Now we'll move to 4. At every iteration we are decreasing the value of I. That is, I is equal to 9, then 8, then 7, and till now we have reached 4. Now our remaining a value is 4. Now again I is equivalent to 4. Can 4 be divided by 4? Yes, it can be divided. So again, on successful division, what we'll do, we'll simply insert this 4 value inside this stack. Okay, now our a will become 4 divided by 4, that is 1. Now is 1 divided by 4? No, it is not divided. It is not divided by 4. So we will move I is equivalent to 4 will become I is equivalent to 3. Can 1 divided by 3? No, it cannot be divided. Then 2. Can 1 divided by 2? Again, no, it cannot be divided. Now our loop is over, because our loop was running from 9 to 2. Now our I is equivalent has become 1. Now our loop is over. Now if after the end of the loop, it means our loop is over. If after the end of the loop our a value is equal to 1, then we will form a number from digits which are present in the stack. So after this loop is over, what is the a value? A value is 1. So it means that we have to form a number from digits which are present in stack. So what are the digits which are present in stack? So we will just pop out these digits, and in the same form a number will be made. So first 4 will be popped because we know that stack follows LIFO approach, last in first out. So first 4 will be popped, then 5 will be popped, and then again 5 will be popped. So what is this number? This number has become 455. And what was our answer for this particular question? It was again 455 only. So this will give us least value of B from which A can be formed. So this was the case when our A at the end of the loop our A is equivalent to 1. Now, but what if after the end of a loop our A is not equivalent to 1? Then we'll simply return -1 from the function. This was the case. In this case we have returned 455 from the function, and if this is not the case, then we'll return -1 from this function. Guys, this was the entire approach. I hope the approach is clear to you. Now I will be writing the code for the same, but as I am telling you again, make sure that you watch this video till the end, because in the last I will be explaining you the base case at which your test cases might fail for this particular approach. So now let's just write the code for the same. Okay, so first of all we have to take input, that is we have to take input as A value, so C in A. Now what do you do? See, we will be implementing entire thing into a function. So let's just make a function. So let's say we will be making an int helper function in which we will pass the value of A. Now in this helper function will return the actual value of B if it is possible, and it will return -1 if the value of B is not possible for the given value of A. Now what we'll do, we require a stack. So let me just call the stack function, declare the stack function stack int is equal to s, because it will contain only integer values, that is the digit values from 0 to O, so from 2 to 9. Now what we have to do, we have to run a loop for I is equivalent to 9, I greater than equivalent to 2. I have told you earlier 1 and 0 will not be considered, and I have told you why they will not be considered, and I minus minus. Now what we'll do, we will check whether the A value is divisible by the current value of I. Now if it is divisible, we will keep on dividing that particular A value till it becomes not divisible. So once again we have to repeat certain things when we have to return when we have to satisfy a condition, as well as we have to continue to satisfy that condition. What we will use a while loop. Now while our A value mod our I value is completely divisible, that is the remainder is 0. I hope this thing is clear to you as I have discussed in the approach. Now what we'll do, we will first of all push the value of I into the stack. So s dot push I value, okay, and then what we'll do, we will divide the A value with the I value. So now a new value will become A is equal to A divided by I. So again this while loop will continue to run till this condition is satisfied. Now once this condition is not satisfied, the loop will run another iteration. So now the value of I is equal to 9 will become I is equal to 8, and so on till I is equal to 2. Now after the loop is over, when the loop is over, if at this particular condition our A value is not equivalent to -1, so if our A is not equivalent to 1, it means that the value of B for this particular A value is not possible. So in this case we will simply return -1 from here. No need to think anything. Now but what if the condition where A is equivalent to 1? It means that this condition where this stack will not be empty, so we have to form the numbers using this stack. So see, this at particular position only a particular value is present, that is 4 is present, 5. So we have to combine these separate digits into a number. So for that we have to write a particular logic for the same. So let's say int b is equivalent to 0. Now what we'll do, all these values are present in the stack. So while our stack is not empty, s dot empty, these are the inbuilt function of stack. While our s is not empty, what we'll do, we will take a value from the top of the stack. So int, you can say x is equivalent to s dot top, okay, then s dot pop, because once we have used a value we have to pop it from the stack. So s dot top we have taken into x, and s dot pop, that is we have removed that value from the top of the stack. Now we have to add this x value into the b value so that b forms a number. So what is the logic for it? We will do b is equivalent to b into 10 plus the x value that we have taken from the top. And once this while loop is over, the b value will contain the required number and will simply return b from here. Guys, many of you say that I should write the code in Java or some other language. Guys, everything is same. Everything inside Java and C++ is same. This for loop is same, this while loop is same, but the declaration is only different, that how you declare a function and how you declare the stack value. Only these things different. these things are different, and this push and pop function are different. You can simply search these functions on the internet. If you don't know Java and you want to write the code in Java, if you know Java, just these things are different, that how you will declare a stack, how you will use different functions for this particular operation. Now this while loop is over, and after this while loop is over, our b value is our final answer. We are simply returning b value from this function. So let me just call this function from the main function okay, so this was a helper function, and we'll pass the value of a that we have taken as an input, and we'll do cout helper, that is the value that has been returned with this function. So let me just run this particular test case that we have just solved. It will be 100. So answer should come out to be, what was it, 455. Okay, so guys, I have copy pasted my code from CodeChef ID to this ID because there was some error in CodeChef. So let me just run my code here. I have run on one test case and it has given fine answer, that is on 10 it has given 25. Now let's just test on 100. On 100 it should give us a 455 as an answer. So 100 should give us 455. So it is giving us 455. So guys, this code is running perfectly fine, but as I told you earlier, there is certain base cases that you have to write in this code so that your all test cases are passed. So now I will be telling you what are those base cases. Now this code that we have written will work perfectly fine when our input a value is greater than or equal to 10. Then it will run perfectly fine. But what if our a value is less than 10? That is, what if it is 1, 2, 3 or so on till 9? So for that particular thing, you have to write a base case. See, when our input a value is 4, then our code will give us 22 as an output. But this 22 as an output, but this output will be wrong, because 2-digit b that can form 4 is 14, because 1 into 4 will give us 4. So 14 is less than 22. Similarly with the rest of the things, all those numbers, all those a's whose value is less than 10, their corresponding smallest b values will be, for 1 it will be 11, 2 12, 3 13, similarly 6 16, 7 17, 8 18 and 9 19. So this particular base case we have to include in our code so that our code passes all the test cases. So what we'll do in the function only at the top side, what we will do if our a is less than 10, then from here only what we'll do, we will return a plus 10. So now a plus 10 has become our b value. So if this is the case, then we will return a plus 10, because 1 will become 11, 2 will become 12, 3 will become 13 and so on, 9 will become 19. So now it will pass all the test cases. Now let's just run two more time on different test cases. Let's just put a prime number like 17. Then it should return, in 17 it should return -1, because there is no such value of b that is present with us. Okay, so let me just press enter. See, it is returning -1 because it is not possible, there is no possible b value for this a value. Now last thing is, let's say 2. For 2 it should give us 12. For 2 it should give us 12. It is giving us 12. So this code will pass all the test cases. I hope you liked the video. This was all for this video. I will be posting more such videos. Part 4. This is part 4. Part 5, part 6 and so on will be posted. So make sure that you subscribe this channel and join my Telegram group also. Thank you for watching this video.